I kind of love the West in so many ways and thinking about my days in Texas. And now, we're going to be talking about Tulsa, Oklahoma with my guest today, Teresa Knox. And she's going to talk about the church studio. Teresa, thanks for stopping by and your book and all those things. I appreciate you coming by.
Thanks. So excited to be here.
Yeah. So kind of talk about how it got all started, the church studio.
Well, I love that question. Hence the name. It started out as a church 110 years ago. It was a Methodist church and was finished in 1915. But really, its claim to fame is what happened in 1972. And that's when another Okie, Leon Russell, was number one touring artist in America, came back to his hometown of Tulsa. He impulsively purchased this building in the spring of 72 and converted it into this really amazing recording studio.
Oh, wow. And so why the book? Kind of explain how that happened.
Well, I purchased kind of like Leon, it was kind of an impulse purchase. I bought the building almost 10 years ago, and I'm a native Tulsan and I'm a music memorabilia collector. So I had thousands of pieces of J.J. Kell and Leon Russell, and he had a record label called Shelter Records, a lot of that stuff, Mudcrutch, which turned out to be Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, one of the biggest artists to record at the church studio and get signed to Leon's record label. But I just contacted the owner. It was boarded up, it was really dilapidated, and sent him a letter and said, "Hey, I'm a huge Leon Russell fan. I'm super interested in buying this building. Would you consider that?" He said, "It's not for sale, but let's meet." And so we met and met and met. And he still wouldn't show it to me, but I ended up buying it sight unseen. And the book was important. I've interviewed about 400 people. There was really no documented history on the building. Not even Leon knew the year it was built or the denomination. And the more I learned about it, including during the 70s and all the artists I recorded through there, I thought, it is such an amazing story. If something were to happen to me, so much of it is still in my head. I need to get it down. So I really just wanted to document that history, honor the people that came before us, and celebrate how we use it today.
Yeah, and you think about books, I think it's such an important part to put all that history down. And then the book is sensational, and Leon Russell's should again be applauded for his efforts, as you were kind of talking about. As the book says, Heartbreaker Mike Campbell says that the label was called Shelter as a shelter for great artists. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it was really neat. That record label started before he bought the building in Tulsa in 1970. He had a British partner, producer, a man by the name of Denny Cordell. And on the road during the Mad Dogs and Englishmen tour with Joe Cocker is really where they built this record label. And they wanted something innovative and different. They wanted something very opposite of what was happening in Los Angeles at the time. So I really, really, really love the name, but it's this very entrepreneurial boutique record label that really gave a lot of artists their start. And again, we've hosted Mike Campbell. I've had an opportunity to interview him and Benmont Tench as well. And I love their stories about being in Tulsa and really giving so much credit to Leon and Shelter Records, to this amazing career that they experienced with the Heartbreakers.
What do you think made Tulsa a place for artists for creativity in the 1970s and again today?
Yeah, I think it really starts before then. Of course, Bob Wills and the Texas Playboys, they were here in the 1940s with the historic Haynes Ballroom. We had the only radio station that strategically located in the middle of America that would broadcast from the West Coast to the East Coast. But I think also we are kind of the epicenter or the center of Route 66. So you talk about flyover states and drive through states, so many artists stopped here. They would jam with our local musicians. So the local music community was always super prepared for these artists. So I think it's a combination of things. We're also native land. We only became a state in 1907. A lot of people, credit the spirituality of the land and all of the different tribes. And, even some of their beats, kind of the precursor to the blues. So I think we've just always had this really magical musical history in our city.
The church studio has moved from being a record label headquarters to a community anchor. How do you describe that transformation?
Well, it was definitely a private recording studio when Leon Russell had it, from 1972 to the late 70s. So it was for his own projects, his friends that would come through there. But today, after we went through a 6.5 year renovation, and so it is open, to the public to record, but we are so much more than that. We have about a 6,000 piece archive. So we are a music museum. So we get tourists from all over the world coming to Tulsa to visit us, as well as the Bob Dylan Center, who's our neighbor and also located in Tulsa, Oklahoma. But we have an audio engineering school, and we really just blew up as a tourist attraction. Our primary function is recording, and that's what we do 7 days a week, but people are so interested in what we do in there. And of course, they're always hoping to run across a celebrity. But yeah, we welcome thousands of visitors, as well as all the artists that record with us.
How do artists today respond when they realize they're recording the same room as Tom Petty, J.J. Cale, and Leon Russell?
I think they love it. I mean, artists call it the vibe. I mean, part of it is it was a church 110 years ago. But when they walk in, we have so many different wood species throughout. There are 11 wood types in the building. And the analog is just really very beautiful. But artists, get kind of emotional when they walk in there. And again, part of it is the sound, the history of a church. But when they think about all of the different artists that came through there, like the ones you named, but also, Willie Nelson and Eric Clapton and Stevie Wonder in Kansas, and, so many incredible musicians in the 1970s. I think it's really inspiring to them. And so many will come in and they'll have an unfinished project and they just feel inspired to write, during the recording process. And it's really neat to see all of the new music come out of the studio today.
Tell me how you came to be involved and your background.
Well, again, I was born in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I had older siblings that were big Leon Russell fans. And so at the age of 8, I collected my first item that had Leon on it. And I just continued to collect, really my entire life. So even before I bought the building, I had thousands of pieces of memorabilia. So I don't have a studio background. So that really was not my original intention. I just wanted to restore the building, honor the legends that came before myself. And but then it just took a life of its own, and I just knew it needed to go back to being a recording studio. So today we operate as a full blown digital recording studio, but we really leaned into the analog aspect of things. So we record a lot in full analog.
Oh, very cool. What struck me musically was how many different artists passed through here, from Leon to the Gap Band to J.J. Cale to Petty with Mud Crutch, Dwight Twilley, and now great artists are still coming. Give me a rundown of the recent artists here.
Let's see. We're really proud of the fact that Taj Mahal is recorded with us. He received a Grammy in February for his Best Blues album that was recorded with us. We've had Kenny Loggins, we've had Air Supply, we've had El King, Jimmy Webb, who's another Okie. Um, let's see, we've had Bill Champlin. We've had Bill Ward of Black Sabbath, the drummer for Black Sabbath. Let's see, we've had, gosh, there's just so many, since we do record 7 days a week. George Thorogood has recorded with us. Um, Michael Martin Murphy, Wildfire, he recorded with us. Recently, we had Sixpence, None the Richer. And so they're really awesome. And one of our latest favorites is Tedeschi Truck Span.
Wow. It's very interesting to see how people are attracted to this and they love the history, right? When the artists come here.
Yeah, they're obsessed with the history. I mean, I think artists just, they love, again, paying tribute to artists that came before them, being inspired by their music, not necessarily replicating it, but just drawing inspiration from it. And they just really, again, they call it the vibe. And when you couple that with our museum quality microphone collection, tape machines, we have an amazing console that came from the great Daniel Lanois, and a lot of people recorded on that. So a lot of the equipment has pedigree as well. And so when you couple that with this old church that um, was a recording studio in the 70s, I mean, they just really love it.
I'm quite sure coming here, you instantly feel the legacy of the place. What are your favorite musical songs from the early days of the church?
Um, Of course, all the Tom Petty songs, American Girl and Breakdown. You mentioned Dwight Twilley earlier. He was a little bit different than the Tulsa sound genres that came through there, but he recorded a whole album. But I'm on Fire, Looking for the Magic. I mean, so many great songs from Dwight Twilley. One of my favorite songs is by Phoebe Snow, um, called oh my gosh, I just went blank. The cold I have now is like going to my head. Piano Man is really, really, really beautiful. But Willie Nelson and his sister recorded some great stuff in there. Willis Allen Ramsey, Jimmy Buffett. He recorded some great songs for a Lone Star beer commercial. Of course, you mentioned the Gap Band. That first album is so good, that funk, and of course they're from Tulsa, Oklahoma as well. So I mean, it's hard to choose one favorite, but so many great songs, and of course all the work that Leon Russell did.
I know you've had a number of in-person appearances. Tell us about some of them. The research on this book is masterful, and it's amazing you have all the sensational ads and photos. So how difficult was that to source, kind of putting all that together?
Well, it's something again, a lot of the items that are scanned in the book, I had in my personal collection. So it was just a matter of photographing them or scanning them. But, in this day and age, it's easy to research things. I was just really taken that this this church had no documented history, no architect of record, and no builder, because the people built this church, and it's just a really beautiful story. So I started piecing together these little articles that started appearing about 1913 in our local paper. So, like any research, you just get on a rabbit
Wow.
trail and try to piece it together. And I thought it was important to tell the entire building story, not just, even though I'm a huge Leon Russell fan and JJ Kell fan, and that's really where my passion started. But I think it's really important to document and tell the story of the entire provenance of the building.
And I was mentioning also, I said number of in-person appearances. Tell us about some of those.
Um, in what regard?
Like the number of in-person appearances that you've had at the church. Tell us about some. Like I guess I'm trying to figure that out too.
Okay.
Like you when you do events and stuff. I think that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, we're primary recording studio, so we record musicians. We ran about 1,500 musicians the past 12 months, so we're very, very busy with that. But we do sprinkle in programming. So we have a program called, Legacy Concert Series. And so I often will interview the artist. I mentioned Kenny Loggins earlier. So he came through, recorded, did a performance, but I also had an opportunity to interview him. And you can see those
Wow.
interviews on our YouTube channel. But we do a lot of that. And so that's really, really nice. We also have a program called In Session, and that's where the audience is fully integrated in a recording session. So we limit it to 50 people. They have headphones, they have a cue box, they can hear everything in analog, they can hear the multi track, because most people don't get to experience listening that way. And we're so used to hearing compressed music,
Right.
right? So it's kind of nice to hear it in analog. So that's one of our programs as well. So again, we have so many people that come through there, and I don't get to interview all of them, but I do have an opportunity, especially the legacy artists that will weigh in on analog gear, or they knew Leon Russell, or they spent time in Tulsa, Oklahoma back in the day. So I really like to, tie it back into what we're doing when I do get a chance to interview them.
Well, it's fabulous things you have going on. It's definitely when I visit Tulsa, I'm going to have to go and come to the check out check out your building. I definitely for sure. You're not having any podcasters, right? You're doing most of the recording. Are you doing any podcast recording there?
We do for the public. We have several podcasters that use our facility for recording. I mean, we curate a lot of, I know you're a marketing person, we curate a lot of content to continue to build our digital footprint. And I think, we've done really well with that. So we have everything from original music on Spotify to our YouTube channel to all of
Wow.
the social channels. But again, we do interviews, but they're not quite in podcast format. But we're talking to some celebrity artists that are interested in um, joining what we're doing and have a podcast coming from the church studio. So I hope in 2026 we get to introduce that.
Yeah, if you start getting a bunch of podcasts, that's going to be the next big thing. I'm working with a company called Radiate, where I'm bringing podcasts on to the network. So it's a streaming channel that has movies and stuff like that. And we're going to be the first to the podcast side that I'm
Oh, wow,
bringing
that's
different.
amazing.
Yeah, so I got some things in the works in 2026
Oh,
as
no,
well.
that's
It's like,
exciting. Well, let us know
yeah,
what we can do to help. We get a lot of requests for it. I mean, we've been featured on Sirius XM and other radio type shows. So again, I see our digital footprint continue to climb. And I mean, obviously we have to podcast, but we've only been open for 3 years and
wow.
we just blew up. Literally tens of thousands of people have been over. And so just building a brand new team. And developing a business model that sustains this amazing
Well,
historic property.
I think you're definitely in the right place because a lot of times people are not doing in-person studios anymore. A lot of people are having them in their, like their house or different places, and they really don't get out to network. And that's a key thing in music, to network and hang out and jam together. And I think, and especially to know you're in a place that produce such amazing music. It's like, it's kind of like if you're a performer in Madison Square Garden. Well, if you're a recorder, going to the church studios is about the same thing.
Right.
That kind of feel
Yes, I
for
appreciate you saying
the recording side, because of the history. It's like every building and the history. There's
well,
nothing like it when you walk into
right.
certain
And good
places.
sound recording. I mean,
Yeah.
again, people are so used to, AI and fake
Hmm.
instrumentation. And if you really love the warmth of analog and a true sound capture, then, definitely the church studio is a place you would want to record. And you're right, it's not needed. I mean, there are a lot of viable alternative and substitute products for a recording studio our size, but you really can't replicate the sound that we generate.
And then the event, if you're bringing different people and artists coming in, then other people are more likely to go record at the same place. So
Right,
it's like
exactly.
building that community. That's the
Mhm.
key thing, especially to bring music continue to grow, because it's all about, cranking it out and never know what's going to happen in the music world. So that's for sure.
Right.
What are your ultimate goals for the church studios?
Well, I definitely wanna continue building, our digital brand alongside of our brick and mortar, and really our digital brand has outgrown it in to a certain degree. So, again, expanding into other areas like podcasting, but sharing, capturing what we do every day that people that don't live locally can enjoy that. But, we definitely want to keep growing it. We're working with most of the major record labels. And, we were an unknown studio 3 years ago. So it's been really nice to have clients from New York and LA and Nashville and Austin and Kansas to come to Tulsa. 2026 is the 100th anniversary of the Mother Road of Route 66, and Tulsa, Oklahoma is the capital of Route 66. So we're preparing some really fun new exhibits in the museum part of what we do
Oh,
to
wow.
welcome those visitors. And, we've done it carefully so it doesn't, compromise or take away from the recording process. But we just want to, keep growing. So we're really, really excited about the direction we are heading right now.
All right, Teresa, best place people can find info on you and go check out the church studios. Where can they go?
Yeah, go to our website, thechurchstudio.com. If you like video, definitely subscribe to our YouTube channel. And The Church Studio is our handle on all of the social platforms. But we have tons of content there that I think your listeners will enjoy.
Also, what's very interesting, and it's great to look at this, is the fact of having the ability to uh, bring it to life in so many aspects and so many opportunities and possibilities. People just definitely have to check it out. So we appreciate it, Teresa.
Yeah,
Best of
thank
luck.
you so much.
All right. You're listening and watching The Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment.